As you can see, it's quite flush. Well, nice little do-it-yourself thing, but I've had a problem when it comes down to the pillar drill, because the other holes are there, but because of that distance there and there, the shape of the actual head gasket goes there. To be able to drill that hole, I'd have had to cut all that off. Now, in all honesty, I might even get the jigsaw out and cut that out all the way along, or roughly cut it out, because that laminated piece of plastic and the MDF wouldn't probably be just enough to cover that area. You know what I mean? And I only need that much of it, and I'll be able to get at least 2 of them out of it. So that then seals that up, and then I can pressure test the actual casting itself. It's just held in place with them lugs. Lift it off like that. So it's the first time I've actually tried doing this. That's what it looks like. A bit like a worktop. It just fits onto the lug, so that one will then fit to this side as well, in theory. So let's just see if we can get it on there with my body. Because we don't get many of these to play with over in Great Britain. That one onto that down, that one onto that down. And it just fits on like that. Now if we could get a sheet of rubber to lay on top of that, or smear some silicone on it, but that's a messy job. And I'm thinking quick, easily repairable job. Now I'm thinking back to my days when I was in printing press, and we had the drum, the printing drum, and you had one drum that had got the plate on, and one drum that had got the rubber mat on. The rubber mat would have been perfect for laminating to this plastic. It would have been perfect type of material to create an instant gasket. Then you don't have to waste your cylinder head gaskets to do your pressure test, because it would, when you clamp it down with bolts, it would seal on the actual rubber, and it's like a rubber bed on the one of the drums of the actual printing machine, like AB Dick or Heidelberg, big massive ones. And I used to get them all the time when I used to change it on machinery. But unfortunately I don't work there at the moment in printing games, so I can't get my hands on the rubber mat. Very similar to a cutting mat in the art section in any sort of hobbycraft things, but it's not. It's a rubber, soft rubber with like a membrane behind it. Damned expensive to buy, but when you're working in the industry you can get it cheap because they just chuck it away. So you get it for naught, but it's all old and skanky and knackered. But for this sort of job, it'll work perfectly. You know what I mean? Because you'd only needed that much of it, and your bloody big sheets. So that's what my idea were. So I've now made that. It works, it fits on. And if you think about it, you could make several sorts of them, because that one will now fit to the bottom of the actual cylinder heads themselves. So in essence you could use the same thing to fix to the cylinder head itself. So you put your cylinder head on top of that, bolt it down onto the top of this, and then it would allow you to pressure test the cylinder head without the actual, you know, cast iron section. So you just have that on your workbench, and you bolt your cylinder head to that with the rubber membrane on top of it, and then presto, you've got your instant seal. Now I don't think you sell them, and if you do, it's probably in the actual motor industry. Well, I'm just thinking, well, I can build that myself. I just need to cut that little piece out there, or make another piece, you know what I mean? But if I chop that piece out there, then I can get to drill those other 3 holes, because with a pillar drill you've got the shaft that it stands on, and it bashes against that, and you can't get to the actual let's show you on the actual pillar drill. Don't know if the actual drill's in at the moment, but let's have a look, then you understand what I'm on about. For anybody else that's interested in this sort of thing, see, because it goes up against it like that, and that is just fractionally out of alignment, which is like damned annoying when it's just not straight there. And that bit is just enough to do water jackets. So if I get me jigsaw out and I cut along there with saw, even if it's only rough arse, just scoop it out a bit, then I'd have been able to get to that and that. And then just like the jigs that you use in when you're making a worktop in a kitchen, you have a jig and you put it down, clamp it onto the top of the worktop, and you go around it with router. Same sort of jig. I don't know if you sell them or make them. You could have whacked that out easy peasy with a big thick piece of metal if you got all fancy machinery. But for people like myself, it's a good little do-it-yourself idea. That's all that is. A quick do-it-yourself idea for anybody. Because even that, if I clamp it down with that might actually seal anyway. And if I get a bit of silicone and smear it across there with trowel, let it dry, it becomes that rubber. It sticks to that. And so long as it's nice and smooth when you can squash it down, it becomes the seal on that. And I don't have to ruin any cylinder head gaskets trying to pressure test the castings, because for all I know, the castings could have got cracks down the bores, as they've been trying to explain to everybody, or it could have got cracks on the inside of the engine, on the inside of the engine where you can't get to it. So then when you fill it with water and pressurises, the water goes straight through and fills bleeding oil sump up at the bottom. And I've been thinking about that camshaft as well, how the camshaft was moving in and out, and I'm wondering, is it the hydraulic lifters that keep it still? If you put these hydraulic lifters back in again, does it stop the camshaft from moving back and forth? Because I haven't changed the bearings yet on the bottom, but they're the ones I will be changing. I've actually got some more camshaft bearings, but I don't think I need to change them because they're brand new. Them by the looks of it, hardly been used. So, and to be honest, I'm still questioning the pistons, because they look like pretty good bloody rings on them as well. So it's almost like this one had new pistons, new rings fitted, and a new camshaft fitted, but something else went wrong with bearings. You know what I mean? It looks like it was big ends on bearings that went. So whoever had it before might have had heads off, might have changed the actual piston rings, but they've certainly changed them, because they're non-original ones. They're original ones which had heavy wear. They're non-original ones. So as you can see, that's what I'm up to. But that's the little invention thing that I've just come up with. Might already exist, I don't know. Oh, and that's today's date, and that's my fancy watch again. I'm supposed to change my watch because I don't want it getting broken.